So today, let's make ourselves some VFX where we sort of like spawn in like a cool spawn in VFX, almost like from the heavens, like we're being beamed down or something. Something quite dramatic and epic. Insert footage here. All right, the canvas size, I'm going to start by making my texture, sorry, Photoshop, which is going to be 512 by 512. And this is what's going to be sort of the basis for our effect. So I'm just going to start by getting a square. I'm just going to fill that square over the scene and go to render, so filter, render, and let's do some fibers. I'll rasterize it, that's fine. And ultimately, it doesn't matter so much what these look like. You know, you can just sort of like play with the values. I'm loosely going to go somewhere with a nice sort of focal point. If you've got an area where you've got like a lot of black, might look quite nice. You can hit randomize a couple of times to find something like that, and then hit OK. So here we go. So this is like, let's say this is our piece. I'm just going to pull it over a little bit. I probably would have preferred it. I want it sort of a bit more central, so I'm just going to duplicate it and put it there. And let's just merge these. Cool. Okay, so now we've kind of got this focus point in the middle. Just to try and like bring that out a bit more, I could like sort of grab like my stamp tool and sort of paint it in a bit more, sort of thicken it up. So if you want, you can try and like bring it out a little bit more. I'm not going to worry too much about it. And I'm also going to get a simple black to white to black gradient, like this, do you know? Oops. So white to black, back to white again. And I'm just going to do that on a new layer. And I want to sort of focus the black part where the effect is, you know, our main sort of effect, which we know is here. And I'm going to use my blending layers to find a nice sort of mix to really bring that out. Color burns, all right. Let's keep scrolling, see if we've got any other good ones. Linear dodge could be interesting. Ooh, overlay's quite nice. Overlay usually always is. You know what? I'm quite liking vivid light. Looks interesting. You know, I'm going to go for vivid light. So kind of like, you know, being able to sort of highlight and bring out this other point. With this as well, we would be able to sort of tweak our brightness and contrast as well if you want, you know, to sort of try and get like a bit of a sharper mix. Think of, you know, the big part in the middle is where our main effect will be. So we can also, like, you know, give ourselves a couple more little strands around. So I'm just going to use the same sort of trick really and bring these out. The white part will be, you know, what will end up being sort of cut out. That's quite nice. What was that, vivid light again? Yeah, okay, we can work with vivid light. I'm just going to delete you out there, like that. And yeah, that's sort of all right. We could sort of build and do a bit more with these, tweak this and refine it a little bit if we want to. But that's sort of all right, I think, for me. You know what, let's just do a little bit of something on this side too. So let's just get another layer, sort of in the same process. Oops, that's my selection tool, not my gradient tool. And again, we'll just sort of try and bring a nice sort of sharp line out. Ooh, linear light's actually quite nice for that. So linear light, vivid light, you know, whatever you want to work with will probably be good. And let's just cut off the edges again. So it's going to give us something a bit more like this. Actually, this middle one's probably a little bit sharp. What did we use there? Linear light might actually probably be a bit nicer for that. Yeah, let's just do that, and I'm just going to stretch it out a touch as well. Cool. All right. Loosely, that'll sort of be our effect. And like I say, we can sort of tweak this and change it. I'm just going to go to my top layer, hit Control, Shift, Alt, and E. And all that does is it just copies everything to the same layer, or you could just have merged it down, but I figure maybe I want to come back and sort of tweak and change this at some point. And what we want to do is I'm just going to get my this layer. I'm going to press Control I to invert it. Like I said, the white parts are going to be where our main effect will take place. So I might shrink it in just a little bit like that. And I'm not going to, again, I don't want to sort of labour this part, work too much on this part. You can always come back and refine it a little bit more should you wish to. So I've just brought these in a bit closer, merged them together a bit more, and that's looking quite nice. So let's save that. It doesn't really matter, we'll just save this as like a JPEG or a PNG. And then let's go to Unreal and start creating the effect. So I'm just going to import that file. And then I'm going to right click and create material from it. And open that material up. And let's just quickly sort of set this up by make sure in no space, click no space, and let's set this to additive. And let's get a particle color as well, because we'll probably want to affect the particle color. And multiply these to make our emissive. Should we maybe make this a bit brighter too? So I'm just holding M, just holding M and left clicking to create a multiply, or you can just right click and type in multiply. And let's just times this by, I don't know, 4. We'll sort of see how that looks. And let's also do our opacity from our particle opacity. And that should give us our base shape. So I'm just gonna hit save there and give that a sec. Cool, we can see this come in now. That's looking kind of cool. Be like sort of a spawning effect. So let's move this out of the way a little bit, and let's create a right click and create a new particle system, which I'll call it spawning in party. And let's open that up. Cool. So this spawning in party, we can also, let's add one to the world. I like to see it sometimes as I'm working on it in the scene as well as in this. So let's first of all, let's change our required to a new material. And let's also, in fact, we'll just give that a minute for those shaders to compile. Okay, so those shaders are finally compiled. Next, we need to make our particle system. So right click and change it to a beam. Next, we need to make it a beam. Oh, and those shaders got to compile again. No way. That's so upsetting. You know what? Let's just keep working on it while those are working. We don't really need a spawn system anymore because it sort of spawns without lifetime. I'm going to change this to a constant, and I'll have to mess with this, but well, let's just say we're flashing like, I don't know, about 0.8. Again, we'll tweak that, and I'm going to want it, I don't want any really left or right, and I only want it to go up, so I'm going to set this to about, I don't know, somewhere between 0 and 0 and 600 and 400. That gives us this nice pop-up. We will do a color over life, yes. So let's do our color, which will start out, we'll just start out white, and then, I don't know, we'll just change it to a nice sort of purpley color. And we'll do our alpha because we set it up, and we kind of want it to be bright for the first half of it, and then maybe a quick sort of fade out as well. So I should sort of have it fade out, and I think in terms of our main things, we might just have to wait until it's compiles have shaded. The shaders have compiled. Cool. Okay, that's in. Why can't we see it? Let's just have a quick look at our beam data. Oh, so let's change it from target to distance. Because instead we sort of, like I say, we wanted to shoot up. So let's just set that distance real quick. I don't know. Let's say 1,000. Yeah, seems like a good height, though we do have an interesting issue. I mean, that looks quite cool, but it's not what we need. So I'm just going to quickly jump back to Photoshop. And I'm just going to merge all these down, you know, that's fine. Flatten image, sure. And we need to rotate it. So I'm just going to hit Control T. Oh, why does it look like there? Control T, rotate it 90 degrees, holding Shift. If you want as well at this point, you could always get yourself like a funky brush. And yeah, get yourself like maybe like a funky brush and just soften out some of those edges a bit. Like if you feel like, you know, it's quite a bit sharp, like there is some sharpness to it. So I'm just going to soften out the edges a touch. Let's just, okay, we can't change the softness on this brush, but we can change the opacity. So, you know, you could do something a bit like that if you wanted to. I'll have a touch, but I'm not going to have that much of it. Cool, and then I'm going to need to save that again, so let's just save it and overwrite it. So back in Unreal, let's just right click and re-import, oops, that. Right click and re-import that. There you go, you can now see it's sort of going the direction we're going to want it to go. So that's looking better already. Is that a good height for my game? I might go a bit higher. Alright, so back in the distance, I'm just going to go to maybe 2,000. Go back up to here. We got a few options we can mess with, and we shall. So sheets, if we increase that, like, you know, we should see that starts creating like a more rounded thing of it, which actually looks alright. Let's try 4. We probably don't need too much on that. 4. Cool, yeah, alright, that's alright. We can increase our max beam count, which sort of, I think, works a little bit like a spawn. So it just sort of gives it a bit more of a thing going on. That's alright. We should go to 8. It's quite interesting, gives it sort of like, you know, that lead depth. I think what it's doing is it's just taking that one particle and spreading it across the whole thing. But if you wanted to, like, let's say that to 500, that should spawn the same thing. A couple of times they'll give you, like, you can see how it spawns it there. That's what a texture distance will do. So I don't know if that's something you might want to play with, but actually looks kind of alright there with 500. And yeah, that's sort of fine. Anything else we want to mess with? We've got distance, not bothered about any taper. You know what? I think that's alright. Can't really tell the fade out though. Maybe we're actually spawning too many of these. So let's go back to our color over life, find alpha over life. So we start out bright and then we're turning dark, but I think we're turning dark too late, so I'm going to bring that a bit earlier. In fact, I'm going to bring that a lot earlier. And maybe let's actually make this a little bit more yellow. So it almost gives it like a nice cool glow. And let's just do our alpha again. Just going to lower these numbers a bit. Cool, that's looking alright, isn't it? That should be a nice sort of spawning effect. Let's get a size. I'm just going to make this a constant. Actually, just set to like 50, 50, 50. So increase the size a bit. I'm fine tweaking at this point. I think these are like the only things we're sort of going to mess with. Let's go back to beam data and increase the size to, I don't know, 4,000. It's not really giving us much more, is it? Where's the speed? Change our speed to about 1,000. Ooh, that's interesting. It's rotating. It's actually giving us an interesting effect. Let's actually just rotate this back up. Actually, there we go. That's starting to look quite nice now, isn't it? Yeah, I think for like the basis of our effect, what I could do as well is maybe potentially just add like a new particle system as well, sort of at the bottom. And let's just change this to, I'm not going to worry too much about this one. Let's just change this to soft particle. Give it sort of something a bit at the bottom. Let's change the location as well on these. Give it a cylinder so that cylinder sort of matches. Let's just do a quick size by life. Do, 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 do. Yeah, just sort of play with some values, changing these up a bit. Let's actually make them GPU sprites and just spawn a whole bunch of them. There we go, looks quite interesting. And I think we only want these to, I think there's an option that says only spawn on the edge. Surface only. There we go. So we can decrease that. So I want it to sort of like circle it a little bit. I put some down velocity on, I'm not sure why. There we go, that's looking kind of cool. And I think that's all right. Like, we can sort of tweak and play with them. I'm not too fussed on how this sort of looks, and that's all right. Cool. Okay, I'm going to save that, test it out, put it on my character, and let's grab my character, BP human. Oh, I also need to set it to loop only once. So one more quick change. So on this, required, loop once. And U2 wants to. And we can save that, stick it on our character. So it's spawning. Okay, we're going to need to rotate it a bit. There we go, that's quite cool. I'm going to scale it up a touch though. Let's put it at his feet. Okay, let's give that a try when we press play, see how that looks. Well, that's it. That was distracting. Let's try that again. Awesome. I mean, if I tweak it a bit, the particles at the bottom probably could do with being a bit wider to sort of match the shape of the mesh. But in terms of an effect, that's quite cool. I don't like the fact that it looks like it's sort of spawning twice. So let's just quickly make these small changes. So set you to 60. Beam data, I think it's this max beam count. Let's just try setting that to 2, see how that looks. Or 1. Yeah, 1's definitely a try 20. That'll probably hide it a bit more. Awesome, and there we go. That is a cool spawn system. Let's see it one more time. Nice. Thanks for watching.